What's going on, everybody? Tony here with Urban Girl Scout Media, coming to you today to give you the second video in our series of how to play Magic the Gathering. If you didn't watch the first video, it just gives you an overview of what to expect over the next few. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm not going to waste any time. We're actually going to start off with covering what type of cards there are. We're going to start with the permanents, and then we'll discuss the spells. We'll also go into what card pieces are and the zones of the game. So let's go ahead and get into the permanents. And the first thing we're going to do is start with lands. Lands, which what you need to know at this point is we're going to start with just basic lands. Lands tap for mana, which you use to play spells. It's very important to remember that. They tap for mana, which you use to play spells. Let's go ahead and show you the colors. So we have islands, which tap for blue mana. We have plains, which tap for white mana. Swamps, which tap for black mana. Mountains, which tap for red mana. Forests, which tap for green mana. And the newest color is colorless, basically. Now, just for simplicity purposes and so we don't get confused, we're just going to use green colored permanents for the rest of this video when we go into this next part here where we describe the different types of cards. In future videos, we'll use different colors and even go into multicolor, but for now, we're just going to stick with this one color, so just as a heads up moving forward. Alright, so our first permanent type is creatures. Creatures are, again, permanents that stay on the field. You cast them, you see in the bottom there that there's a couple numbers, there's information at the top. We're going to discuss all this in a little bit, but just know that creatures are a permanent that stays on the field. The next permanent type we have is going to be called enchantments. There are two types of enchantments, ones that affect the entire battlefield and then ones that only affect creatures they enchant. So this is a picture of one that does the entire battlefield. And then right here we have one that does just the creature that it physically enchants. We'll discuss how these are used more and what the wording means as we move forward. Again, we're just discussing permanents that stay on the battlefield right now. Alright, so our next permanent type is artifact, which, as I said earlier, there's the newest color officially added to Magic, which is colorless. You can pay, you see the top there, it's just a basic 4. You can pay any color into that. There are multiple types of artifacts. I've got pictures of 2 of them here. Again, the ones that affect the board and something that kind of affects the local creature. These are abilities we'll discuss more, just again, giving you ideas of what types of permanents will stay on the battlefield. The last permanent type that we're going to discuss is called Planeswalkers. This is a card we won't get into a lot in this 100 level series. We will get into it in the 200 level. They're very popular. They have 3 different abilities. Just again, showing you some of the cards that you may see between now and hitting them later. Alright, so if we haven't lost you yet, we just covered the permanents of the game. These are cards that when you play them, they stay on the field. The next 2 card types, that's all we have is 2 that we're going to cover, are cards that when you cast them, their abilities or whatever it is that they're supposed to do happens, and then they go away. So we're going to get right into those right now, and then we'll move on to the next part of our video. So first is called Instants, something that you can cast anytime, your turn or your opponent's turn. These are important to understand because the other type of card is Sorcery, which you can only cast during your turn. And it'll be a specific time during your turn, but we're not going to disclose that just yet. We're going to wait until we get into the turn bases before we go into that. Whew, alright. So what the hell? We just went through a ton of stuff. We've covered a lot of ground, and we've only talked about card types. Let's pause for a moment, and let's just take a break. And let's say a few things. One, if we're a little lost, if we're a little confused, that's okay. Because we can watch this video again, and we can always come back and see what it is that we need to know. And again, we knew that was just a quick summary of what those cards were. 2, is that the next part of this video is going to go into discussion of what each part of that card means, top to bottom. So now you can watch it and go back and say, okay, this is what this jabroni Tony was talking about. And yes, that is correct. We made a the Rock reference here on our channel. So I'm going to use a card that we've already seen in this video and describe what each area of wording means so you have a better understanding of the cards. Along the top, you see the name of the card itself. Across from that in the top right is what it costs to cast this card. So for this card specifically, it costs 1 colorless and 1 green. You'll often hear this referred to as a converted mana cost. You'll see the picture of the card you're playing, the artwork, and then right below it, you'll see what type of card it is. So this is a creature, and then specifically, if there's any more information needs to be given. So for a creature, we have hundreds of creature types in the game. So Elf Scout, and you will see as we go down this rabbit hole of this thing called Magic that the more creature types, the more specific, the more information you need to know. To the right of that, you see the little symbol there. That is the symbol for the set that the card was issued under. We'll go into the sets a little bit later in our series. Below that is a box of text. For this card, there is no abilities or anything in there. When we get into the next few videos, we'll have cards that actually have abilities and things that they do. But just to start out, we have what is just known as flavor text. It's just there for the fun and for flavor of the game. Outside of that, we see the little 2/2 in the bottom right. So that is the power and toughness of a creature. Power is the damage it can deal. The toughness is the damage it can take. These are all going to be very relevant as we move forward. So again, understanding what each part of the card means from what I'm explaining here, and then understanding what each card is, will help you move into the next part of this lesson. Alright guys, we made it. Last part of this lesson, I promise, and that is going to be game zones. I'm going to briefly describe each area of what you see on the picture here, and then we'll do a quick recap, and that'll be the end of the video. The first area is the main area where all permanents that you cast go. So anything that we've shown you already that's a permanent goes here, and that's called the battlefield. And you see here, it's this entire area where all of these cards are laying out. Directly to the left of it, you see here we have what's called our library, where we draw cards from, get new spells to play throughout the game. To the left of that, we have the graveyard, where cards that are no longer in play go. And there is something called exile that we'll go into. But finally, what I wanted to point out is your hand, which is kept concealed. So we didn't really feel the need to put a picture of it here, but you're basically going to keep your hand concealed. And that's it. You play your spells from it. So this is just a rough picture of what the board would look like. We used mono green. So now let's go into our last part of this video, and let's just do this quick. I don't know about you guys, but I'm burned out. Let's do a recap. We've covered a lot of ground today. We're probably confused. We may have to watch this video a few times, but we talked about card types, right? We talked about all those different card types. We talked about that there were land, creature, enchantment, artifact, planeswalker, instant, and sorcery. We also talked about what each piece of the card means and how it relates to the game, as well as the different areas of the board for the game. So what I'm going to say is, watch this video a few times. Get a feel for what I'm saying in terms of the 3 lessons we went through. Watch the next couple. You're going to fumble through regardless. This game is easy to learn, tough to master. I stole that from a friend who says that a lot, and it's a very true statement. You have a long way to go, but we've taken a lot of steps already. What I would recommend is, if you are comfortable with what you have in terms of information, maybe watch the next few videos and get a little bit more knowledge, and try and play some games. Maybe get on YouTube and watch some hands played out. Some of our upcoming videos will have that kind of information on it. So definitely stick with us here. This first few videos is going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to put a grasp on all this in quick little 10 to 15 minute videos where we're not even, face to face. We're separated by the internet. So keep with it. It's going to be tough starting out, but you will get there. As always, we appreciate you guys watching this video. Subscribe below to the channel. Follow us on Facebook. Anything you can do to support us, we are always appreciative of. And as always, this is Tony with Urban Girl Scout Media, signing out.